So for the last 30 days, I've been going to therapy to learn more about myself and see what happens. And I realized something really powerful. I'm perfect. No, seriously, I'm perfect. It's not me that's the problem, it's everyone else. I'm a life coach. I have thousands of followers online. I'm nothing wrong with me. If you want to learn what happened, keep watching. It's estimated that in the US alone, $201 billion is spent on tackling mental health issues like anxiety, depression, and stress. And with this year's coronavirus pandemic, mental health issues have spiked. It has, for most of us, been extremely challenging. At the time of making this video, the UK has just started its second national lockdown, and it looks like a long winter is ahead. 2020 has definitely been a year like no other. Now, even though we know these stats and we know that mental health issues affect us, we never really stop to consider how we ourselves are a part of these statistics. We always assume that I'm a part of the exception and not the rule. These figures don't really apply to me. I know I did, and that was the first lesson I learned in going to therapy, that it does help lots of people and it's okay for them to go to therapy or counseling, but not me. I wasn't part of that group. I was different. I didn't need therapy, especially because I'm a life coach who gives advice to hundreds of thousands of people on the internet. I have a David Goggins mindset. I'm all good. I don't need this. But I was wrong. Yo, so it's day one of the 30-day challenge, and I just had my first therapy session with a really wonderful lady called Angela, and learned quite a lot, to be honest. And it's quite interesting, we use all these reasons, very intelligent reasons, to justify why something can't benefit us. In this case, I'm a life coach. I help people with these things. I am very self-aware. The question for me is not, do you need therapy or do you have to go to therapy? It's more, can you benefit? And to me, the answer is always yes, because you're working with a trained professional who's going to help you look at your situation in a different way, is going to challenge your blind spots and make you more aware of them, and just help you to cope in a more healthy way with the day-to-day things. So I think because people always talk about therapy for big moments and big shifts, and that's what brings them there. That's the idea we have, that's when you go, is when you're really down, you're really depressed, you're really anxious. But actually, I think there is a place for having these interventions as part of our daily habits or our weekly habits and routines, and just having someone there, an objective, independent, professional person who's not your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister or your girlfriend or whatever, but someone who can just help you to look at things in a different way. So yeah, it was a really good first session, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else I learn along the way. So speak to you next time. I'm a big believer that presence, not speed, is what matters most in helping us to live meaningfully. And 2020 has forced me to slow right down. For this challenge, I didn't want to just coast along the shallow waters of my perceived self. I wanted to use this chance, this opportunity, to delve as extensively as possible into the deepest layers of my psychology. Therapy is not just about being asked challenging or insightful questions. It's about being the one who asks those questions. So before our next session, I did some real powerful thinking around, where am I right now? What might be most useful to me in our next conversation? And after a few hours of reflecting and journaling, I realized at the core of it all, there are a lot of questions about a topic that I've become extremely passionate and curious about over the last 2 years. And that was healing from trauma caused by toxic and emotionally abusive people. I realized that I wanted to understand more about, how do you forgive someone without confronting them? Is it really possible? Is it worthwhile? How do you let go and forgive How do you recognize when someone is actually toxic? And it's not just a story that you favor or you've told to make yourself feel better. How do we decipher someone's behavior as being emotionally abusive? And what is the healthiest way to respond, to not be so affected by it? So I took these questions into my next session, and here's what I learned.
So, how is everything going? I see you have a lot of questions.
Yeah. I was just feeling a lot of heaviness, I suppose. Like, what is an abusive person? How do you recognize it? Isn't it all subjective? So I was also getting confused. But I thought it'd be good to capture it in my journal. It's one of the things that I really like about the app is it automatically shares that with you. So it's good accountability, and also obviously you can see where I'm at and what I'm thinking about.
Signs of emotional disturbance is what you're looking for. And sometimes abusive people, especially in a relationship, they don't consider themselves, and they actually think that what they're doing is right. They can be quite controlling, but they don't look at it as though, I'm an abusive person. I've never had anyone of them to actually acknowledge, and they think that what they're doing in the relationship is okay. They think that their behavior is okay, and it's not, so it's hard sometimes to get out of a relationship like that without feeling some effects of it. And so it takes a lot of helping my clients to identify with who they are, and that particular relationship doesn't define them.
That's where I'm kind of just thinking that through, is like, so if someone never says anything, then how can they ever know?
Right. And maybe it's more about, it could just be more about forgiveness and having peace. You have to be really true to yourself, and that's when you have to really know who you are, so that, what they say doesn't tear you down or, get to you, because, whatever they're saying, that I know that's not me. So your opinion doesn't matter. I'm still putting my work out there because I know someone is being helped by it.
Yeah.
And of course, that's when you begin to understand who you really are, so that you don't take on, the perception of what they're perceiving you to be, because, that's not me. So, it's almost like having an attitude, but not having an attitude, like, and your reaction doesn't have to be a negative reaction. I mean, you can still have that compassion and still let your light shine, versus reacting to what they say. I'm just going to respond in an 100%. Appropriate way, and I still get my point across. Yeah. And still have that compassion and stay humble and, have a greater love for them than what they've shown me. So, my pastor said once, don't take anything personal from someone that don't know you personally. Yeah. In other words, let them say what they want to say and call you what they want to call you. Try not to take it personal because they don't know you. And it's hard to do that, to be real about it. It is difficult not to take it personal, and we have to try not to. But that still goes back to thinking about and knowing, okay, I know who I am, I know the type of person that I am. I know what and who I was created to be. Because we do have to remind ourselves of that, especially in the world that we're living in now. We're living in some very difficult, challenging times. What matters the most is what you think. At the end of the day, that's what matters the most. What do you think? Or when you look in the mirror at yourself, what do you see? And if you don't like it, you change it. Don't change it because of what somebody else say. You change it because you don't like it.
What Angela said about not making something personal if they don't know you personally, and secondly about really knowing who you are, that left a huge mark on me. I know it's cliche, but it's just true. Like, when you're okay with who you are and you conquer the voices of doubt, fear, uncertainty internally, the voices outside, the voices externally, they matter far, far less. Most of the time when we hear people talking about their mental health, it's usually within the frame of a negative context. It's usually about the challenges that we face about our mental health. And that's what I think this month has really reminded me. How can I keep creating the conditions that allow me to not just cope, but to thrive under stress? The wounds that other people leave us, they may not be our fault. They may not be something that we feel we deserved or we wished for, but the healing, the response to life's traumas and the lessons that you choose to take away from these moments of difficulty, that's still your responsibility. That's still under my control, and it's my choice whether I take the bruises life gives me and box myself in, creating barriers where bridges should exist. And sometimes I think I fall into this trap of looking at my problems like this checkbox exercise in maths class, that I've solved it once and now it shouldn't bother me ever again. But life doesn't work in straight lines. It works in cycles and waves. Challenges, traumas, toxic people, these are all things that are here to stay. And what I love about things like therapy and counseling is that it allows you to focus again on what is under your control, how you choose to react and respond and show up, regardless of the challenge and circumstance. 1 in 4 people is affected by a mental disorder, and a staggering 56% don't get any support or treatment. And that means for every 4 people that watch this video, 1 of you is struggling with something right now. And more often than not, you're not getting the support and treatment professionally that you should. My goal in today's video is for that number to change, for as many of you as possible to also get support from someone who's trained to help you thrive in the face of life's curveballs and challenges. Click on the link down in the description to get 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp, who are today's sponsor of the video. BetterHelp is the quickest and easiest way to find a professional counselor or therapist to help you with whatever your personal challenges might be. It's what I used in this video, and I'm continuing to pay for myself right now. As a coach and a content creator, I think it's really important that I'm in a happy, healthy place if I'm going to help other people. And with BetterHelp, you can get matched with a licensed professional within minutes, and it takes the hassle out of trying to find someone, which, believe me, can be really difficult. If you're worried about affordability, they also offer discounted rates if you're struggling financially. So click on the link down below in the description to try it out for yourself. That's it for today's video. Click over on my face to subscribe, and over here to watch my other video on signs that you should go to therapy. And also over here for my 1-hour training on the 6 common causes that people live unhappy and unfulfilled lives. I'll see you next time. Peace.